Hello, and welcome to R&R's Real Stories in Restoration. This sub-series of our Ask the Expert podcast shares the stories of the people in restoration and remediation from all corners and levels of the industry. I'm your host, Valerie King, R&R's editor-in-chief, and I am joined today by Avelina Lamb, owner of Puro Clean of Chandler, which is located in Gilbert, Arizona. Thanks so much for joining me, Avelina.
Thank you. And thank you for thinking of me for doing this interview,
So great
Uh,
to have you here. So great to have you here. I'm excited to talk to you about all kinds of things from cat restoration to being a woman in a male dominated field and much more.
sure.
So let's jump right in. Okay. What services does Puro Clean of Chandler offer to what kinds of clients and in what areas?
So first of all, just in case if you guys hear an accent, I'm from Spain. So help me here because sometimes my pronunciation, everybody just be pacing with my answer. So we offer like a very classic restoration services, water, fire, mold, and biohazard. So we do the four fields and in this kind of world that we live right now, you kind of have to give everything, so you're not limited yourself just to like water services.
Very good. Do you serve commercial and residential or lean in one direction more than the other?
So when we opened, we did a lot of more residential, but we started to do more commercial. As you grow and you learn and you get more capital, capable to do things, you learn more, and we have done quite a bit commercial. So we're kind of actually trying to go towards commercial, like probably everybody does that too, because residential can be more intensive time and stuff like that.
Very good. What areas do you offer your services in?
What areas? Oh, so we work in the whole valley, like Phoenix is our office is here in East Valley of Phoenix, but we just all spread out. We go to Tucson. We actually had a job in Nogales, border with Mexico, so right by the wall. So that was kind of interesting. So we just go everywhere, and we do sometimes get out. So when we have a lot of we get prepared for cut work. So, so we go out and do cut work too. So,
Okay. Now, I know different owners play different kinds of roles in their businesses. Some are more in the field, some are more on the operation side, some are half and half. How would you explain the role that you play in the business? What would you say your key areas of focus are?
it's like too many hats. At the beginning when we opened the franchise, it was just two of us, so we did everything. I cut drywall, I went to the attics, name it, and everything. It was, but I think I needed to be there to understand what the guys in the field now go through. And as an owner, if you don't have that experience of being there, you're never gonna know how to really your field guys, the field technicians or operations manager or general manager are gonna do it. So you kind of have to go through everything yourself to get there. So, is that and more? Then you have the administration part, then you have the marketing part, and as an owner, you're the better marketer. There's no one like you that's gonna sell your services and your company. So I'm just like one hat all. But I'm really like happy to that experience everything on the field.
Okay. So, thinking beyond yourself, your extension, your team, what does that look like? About how many people do you have working with the franchise?
So right now we have a team of 10. So we have technicians, we have project managers, a general manager, and administration side. Other than the 10, we have some help on the side on that too. But we have like about 6 trucks. We have a truck prepared for cut work. So it's kind of interesting. So we have grown a lot in the last 2 years. So a lot of work and effort, something like that.
Okay. Now, I read that you've owned more than just this business, including a surgery practice and a real estate business. So I was curious how entrepreneurship in restoration compares to those past experiences you've had leading businesses.
So this world is very different. Like in the real estate or surgical practice, it's kind of like the customers are more looking for you. You know, here restoration is more like a rare occurrence thing, and nobody has you in your mind. Like, oh, my house is flooded. I just had a fire, so it's different than just maybe just having surgery or wanting a house. So this is more like a hard to work the market, find customers. You have to kind of depend more on like adjusters or insurance than just the public in general.
Very good points. Okay, so we know a bit about your path here now. I alluded to those past experiences you've had as a business leader in other industries. And I'd love to delve deeper into how you got into restoration in particular, the path really that you took to the industry, and really where you are today as the owner of a Puro Clean franchise. So could you share a little bit of that story and your path here?
Yeah. So pretty much like my last thing, I was working with commercial real estate. So we were really working with a lot of investors, and I was selling like multifamily apartments from like 12 to 300. So we're doing a lot of work, but at the end of the day, the ones buying the properties and everything were the investors. So I'm like, I think I need a business. Everybody had a business. And I was just like doing real estate. And that's how I was already working in properties. I knew I wanted something service related because I like service. And I thought, I just went to a broker, and he gave me different options, and study yourself, what you like, what you don't, and came into PuroClean, and that's why it came into restoration. So that's from property commercial real estate to fixing the properties. So I have some experiences in the field, like seeing properties, getting property management, fixing uppers, flipping, getting people involved, but no specific me doing the flips.
Very good. And how long have you been at it? How long has the franchise been in business at this point?
So we've been at it since 2018. So it's been a lot of up and down, but we're really been kind of steady for the past 2 years and growing. So, we feel like we're in a good point right now in our, work and learning and knowing more what we're doing.
Thank you. Okay.
Of course, I
Thank you.
have here with me in PuroClean, we have a WLS, water literacy specialist, and that's a big deal because, we really think the best thing on being a good restorer is having education. So we're really big in this PuroClean about educating ourselves. So we go to a lot of trainings. We always, me as a owner, I try to go, and actually PuroClean as a franchise, they offer a lot of training to us. They have an online academy for our employees. So whenever they get hired, they go in and they train. But for us as an owners, they try to bring us like, how do you do in a large loss? How do you do a biohazard? So these are trainings that they put regularly for all our franchisees to go there. So I always try to sign up on all of them. And it's not a bad thing that they're in Miami. So we get together. And then the RIA, I love the trainings that they do and the learning. So I just try to go and learn so I can pass it to the fields, so everybody we like to have a lot of control in our projects. So, that's how I feel learning and education is very key in this industry if you want to grow.
Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so learning, now applying it. I'm curious, is there a most memorable project or a few that stand out in your mind? If so, what make them special? And what are they, of course?
So there's a lot of memorable memory projects and times. Of course, when you're in doing cat work, that we actually just came from New Orleans. We did Ida, so we were there for 2 months in like all this RV park, no water, no electricity, first 2 weeks, rinsing my t-shirt in a faucet and put it to dry out. Tell me about it. But the experience that you get helping the people there is amazing. Like they love you, they don't have anything, they lose everything, and that's just really amazing to see how things come clean, how do they get their house back together. one thing that sometimes I would like to tell people, like how to prepare when you go in cat work, doing cat work. Every time you go to a cat event, you learn something new. I feel like um, you think, oh, I know what I'm doing, but when you get there, every time it's always something different. Oh, one time it's gas is not missing, one time it's water, one time it's electricity. It's never the same. And sometimes it's in part of the countries that the cultures are very different. So I tell people, like, if you're gonna do cat work, is deal with the culture there, because it could be very different, like New Orleans, people that are very different than in Arizona.
Uh,
So you need to adapt to the people, what they do, how they are, because they could be very different. So I feel like that's was very important for me, like taking care of their culture basics when they do their properties, even if it's in commercial or residential, just be caring when you're there, and be prepared when you're there. Just not show up, like, be prepared.
Really helpful. Okay. Now I know I talked to Bart Metter, with a Puro Clean, who helps kind of lead cat restoration from a residential standpoint a few months back. I'm curious, in the climate you're based in, at least in Arizona, if not some of the others you've worked in, but at least in Arizona, because he spoke a lot about the North and Southeast. Um, what does restoration tend to entail for you in the Arizona climate when you think about cat work and natural disasters?
Yeah, so Arizona is very different than other states. Like, we don't wait for hurricanes here. We just, like, we never know what's gonna happen. So it's kind of like you're in, like, paradise, a little bit of weather, even that you're in hell in summer. But what I feel is, like, that's why we pretty much do water, fire, mold, and biohazard, because that's kind of keep us busy all year round. So we don't depend only on, like, water disasters. So we're really, like, everything, whatever it comes, we go. And that's why we have a monsoon season, but it's very short. And we get past year we got 120 phone calls, so they are all involved roofing. So it's, roof leaks, dreaming winds. So that's kind of like the only thing we have kind of major in Arizona. So the monsoon season, there's probably, like, really, with the climate change, maybe 3 weeks or so. So that's why we kind of open the cat, like a cat division, so we can go out and experience the hurricanes, the fires, like right now, we're working on Denver. We're working on still, when the wildfires were back a few months back, but right now there's a lot of secondary damage, because after the fires, most of the neighborhoods around got a lot of smoke and odor. So we're working on a couple projects right now, and you know the people don't see the fire, that there's a lot of toxins in their walls inside it. So we're working on that. And when we got there, people are kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to get, like, they're scared, because the people that came first to fix the fires were taking advantage of a lot of people, So we're getting the second ban, and they're always more careful. And we have to wait a long time for the adjusters to get them approved. So it's kind of hard to work on events like fires. Fires are really hard to work.
Interesting. So, anything else you'd like to add to this? You do cat restoration work, but and you, like you said, you do the more, I don't want to say traditional, but non-cat restoration work. Do they differ in big ways? Anything else you'd like to add to that?
Oh, yeah, they're very different. Like I said before, if you do cat, you have to be prepared, because you're not in your environment, so you don't know what you're gonna need. Um, you don't have your warehouse by you. You have to get the supplies from someone in the area. You have to be not in your environment, so you have to be really prepared. That's the big difference. At home, it's easier because you just drive to your warehouse and you have everything. But cat, just my advice, like, you have to be really prepared for cat.
Thank you. Speaking of preparation for cat work, any tips for fellow restorers who are tackling cat projects, especially, well, not just in climates like yours, but you're going all over the place. So, yeah, just any tips on preparation for cat work or anything related to cat work for those who do it or are thinking about adding it.
Yeah, for me, this year we brought our own RV, so we don't have to wait for an Airbnb when you get to the place. So I have my own RV. Gas is very important. So our trucks that we bring to cut, even our big truck, they're all diesel. because most of the time when there's a cat, the gas goes away and there's only diesel. That's what happened to me in Louisiana. That's the only gas people could get, diesel. And then making maybe in your truck get an extra tank of diesel. So gas and water is probably the most important things to bring with you and your own house if you can, you know.
All right, I'm curious when you go out to a cat project or a set of projects, like what you're doing in Denver right now following the wildfires, what does your team look like? Is that all your franchise's, employees, or are you collaborating with other Puro Clean franchises?
So we actually collaborate with other PureClean franchises. That's a good thing about PureClean. So we have like a cat team already set. So when we go there, the PureClean of Broomfield or whatever the area it is, in New Orleans, they kind of get us connected. We get leads from them, so they talk to their own customers. They already know them. So it's kind of like, we follow always as it's called it the Puro Clean way. We always do it the same, so we know when we leave, they're going to have the same service that the Puro Clean from Broomfield or New Orleans had. And sometimes we bring like project managers, like leaders. So, and then we get with temp work, that there's restoration temp work too, but we kind of like watch them really close and really train them the PureClean way if we're going to use stamps. So we spend a lot of time at the beginning training them, and we always keep the same team from beginning to end. So that's kind of how we do it.
Really helpful. Also, thinking more about that, whenever you are working on a cat loss somewhere, especially not close to home, how do
Yeah.
you balance that with the local projects? Do you just focus everybody on them, on that cat location, or do you still have teammates at home who are working on those other kinds of restoration jobs?
So I try to, like, if I'm at the cat work day, I try to focus like pretty much a lot on that. But we have like calls and video calls because I have a really good team at home, and that's what I started to do. I couldn't do it before, and until I was really prepared. So that's why, like last year when I did New Orleans, I had such a good team at home just because we spent a lot of training. We do a lot of training, a lot of calls. So I feel like we trying to create the culture in our Brooklyn. It's like a company of owners, and it's amazing because I want you to think as an employee. I tell them always that this is your company, and that's how we do it. So they just try to do the best. They want to make me feel good when I'm there. So they try to create the less problems. But that takes time. It goes back to spending time, not only your workers doing the jobs, but just training them like you want them to be.
Very helpful. Okay. So enough about cat restoration for now. I'd love to, as we near the end of the interview, talk some takeaways. So
Yeah.
first, I'm curious, what is your biggest challenge right now, or are your biggest challenges right now?
Well, I'm just like my mind's spinning right now. So I feel um, like in the field, we always try to follow the standards and stuff like that. And most of the insurance work don't let you follow the standards. Well, I mean, in general. So it's very hard. We're trying to educate to a lot of the adjusters to see it should be the standard on a lot of the things. And sometimes they just are focused more on the economics of the project instead of what is doing good for the customer. And that's a big challenge for me because you want to do what's right. You don't want to just get a check. You just want to do the job right for the customer, but pleasing the adjuster too. And it's really hard because I feel like nowadays there's a lot of new adjusters coming and they're all new and they don't know much about it. So I wish there was somehow more of a training in the insurance world for the people that have to really look at our invoices and what we want to do in the projects, because that's the thing. And then another thing, they just take a long time to pay you back. Like, I mean, I like right now, I haven't got paid for all of my jobs in New Orleans. So that's another tip. Have a lot of money when you go to do cat work because you're not going to get paid probably in 6 months. So that's another tip for cat work, going back to that.
Thanks for sharing those challenges. I can definitely say I've heard both of those voiced before a few times, to say the least. Interesting. Now, another question. What would you say the biggest lesson or lessons are that you've learned over the course of your time in restoration?
Oh, the biggest lesson is like, for me, it's like when you walk to a job and think, oh, this is easy. It's like every job is different. You cannot judge a book by their cover. you know, I feel like sometimes not every job, like you think, oh, this is what you do. You make holes, you cut walls, water. You just have to be careful and study every job. It's like when your own body, you go to a hospital or a surgeon and you can have like hernia, but it could be a different type of hernia. So it's restoration, I feel, is the same. When you do a job, just be careful and be prepared and study and think about it, what you need to do on that job, because every job is very different. Not all the jobs are the same. So, just apply your standards, and your you listen to your gut. And sometimes listen to your gut. Sometimes another thing is like you don't have to take all the jobs, like I have been in situations that you go and the homeowner thinks he wants to do the job, or a commercial building, they want to do that way, and it's good, it's okay to walk away from things that you don't think you can handle, or that you can do, or you cannot get along with the homeowner. It's very important that relationship, when you walk and sign a contract, that you have a relationship and a contract, and not just sign here and I'll be done. You have to have a relationship.
Thank you. Three prongs of advice there. We appreciate it. Now, I must ask, as a woman who has excelled in this male-dominated field, I'm curious what advice you might have for other women who are looking to advance in restoration.
Yeah, and it is a very main dominated field. Sometimes I'm the only one in the middle of 30, and I have to go to like baseball games or games, and they just want to drink, or they want to, so you're like, you have to actually, like, my best advice is like, be yourself, you know. So I'm myself. If I say no, say no, just follow your gut too, and just work hard and be yourself. And that's what I do. I just be myself. If I have to say someone no, I say no. It's yes. So you have to be determined and be yourself. Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Be yourself. Okay. You talked a little bit about your passion for learning and education and embracing the Puro Clean opportunities to learn. Just want to make sure any other sources that you turn to for inspiration and education that you didn't already mention.
Yeah, we have the Tad brand that has the WLS, and I turn a lot to him. And he's doing the fire one now, and I turn to back to PuroClean, like our director of training, Darren Hudema, that I always, if we need something in between PuroClean and Chad, and we just figure out, or books. You go with books, and there's a lot of books out there and guides, that we probably have some around here, that there's great leaders in our industry that know so much. So, you can just go on. Let me see which book I have. Restoration Drying. I mean, there's lots of books there to read about, and applying science to the jobs.
Thank you. I know in my short time with the industry, there have been a few books that have come out that are new, and I'm like, wow, this is great. So, yeah,
I
great
had
point
done,
there.
I had done some like some commercials, large floors training with uh, Tom McGuire, Howard Wolf. So there are a lot of things out there that you can, go to trainings and learn so much. So when you go to jobs, you remember the things that you heard and you practice,
That's
So
great.
it's like, just get prepared, be prepared. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, that all brings me to my last question, which is what's ahead for you and what are your key objectives for the future of your business?
So, we're working on creating our cat team stronger and bigger, because it seems like every year there's more elements surround us. So our focus is, since home is very stable and very nice and like concrete, we tried to expand to get a better cat team and maybe somehow expand to another location maybe or another climate to experience, but we don't know yet. Right now it's just focus on the cat team, and we have a working on commercial too, so we have a little commercial division here. So those two things, and just work.
Very hardworking. Yeah, 2 years in, impressive growth, already diving into cat work, which is huge at that point, so looking forward to following the business as you grow into the future and keeping in touch and sharing more stories. Thank you so much for joining me and for your time and insight, Avelina. Before we go, where can listeners go to connect with you or to learn more about Puro Clean of Chandler?
Yeah, you can go to, follow us on Puro Clean of Chandler, or just call us anytime, email me anytime, alam@puroclean.com. And any questions, I'm here to help. If it's something that I know, I love helping people.
Thank you. All right, listeners and viewers, for more insights on restoration, remediation, and the people behind it all, visit our website, randrmagonline.com, Apple, or Spotify. If you haven't yet, be sure to follow the podcast to keep up with all of our latest episodes. And if you could give us a quick review and rating, we would really appreciate it. We are also on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, so we invite you to follow us on social as well. Now, if you are interested in sharing your real story in restoration, no matter where you sit in the industry or the world or your level, please reach out to me at kingv@bnpmedia.com. This has been R&R's Real Stories in Restoration. Thank you for listening.